In my opinion, the supply chain industry is just becoming more and more sophisticated. Historical ways of doing things, whether it be through logistics or procurement or just manufacturing itself, are changing. I see some significant skill and talent gaps in the supply chain industry within British Columbia. We have out recruiting for several, both senior and mid-range management positions. And the gaps that we're seeing are all the way from manufacturing through engineering and product development. And what we're finding is that we're having to cast the net wider across Canada to find some of those people and fill those gaps.
Normally what we'll find is you'll have a person that may have focused on, say, ocean or inbound or warehousing or just transportation, and really we're looking for a much more rounded type of perspective, even though they may be focused in one area.
Depending upon the type of function or specifically what area of supply chain, I think there are some different recruitment and talent challenges. Something like customs, for example, where you need a lot more technical knowledge and technical expertise. In many ways, I think that's easier to hire for because there are nationally and internationally recognized designations. So there is a qualification that allows you to filter and identify talent based upon technical knowledge, at least.
I think the other gap that we see very significantly in supply chain is gender diversity. There is not enough women in supply chain. What we seem to see happen is we have them in manager or director roles, but we don't see them in the VP or the C-suite.
The tech industry is becoming so much more of a bigger industry, and when we think about millennials and the up-and-coming people, they're attracting that age group to come into the tech industry instead of the supply chain or the regular manufacturing industry.
We think right now it's the perfect time to be within supply chain because there is such a change happening right now. For years, what has been put into place is supply chains were built for delivery to the store. That's now fully changing. You're going to an omni-channel type of delivery system, and that means the customer is in control. So you need a lot more flexibility within your supply chain. So for us, looking at it from that perspective, we want to look at where we're going to provide, and it's not just one supply chain anymore. We have to offer multiple supply chains to service our customer.
Thinking ahead, what might change might be the source of supply. So, in North America, in our industry, the vast majority of the products that are used are manufactured probably on the opposite side of the world. The advent of technologies, one area that's of particular interest to me right now is 3D printing.
The biggest thing that I see when I'm thinking about people who can develop themselves is really looking at their leadership development, because it's fairly straightforward to teach people and to train people on technical aspects of the business, whether it be software, hardware, or just general day-to-day tactical management techniques. What's really difficult is to show them how to be a leader and how to be a leader within not just the business, but within the industry.
One of the keys to success in supply chain is being collaborative. So the ability to collaborate across groups within a supply chain, but also outside of that, the function with sales teams and suppliers. Our supply chains don't act or behave in isolation. So the ability to be self-aware and an ability to kind of work well with people and get the best out of people is something that I really look for.
At the end of the day, they want to provide that customer experience, and they take it personally, right? That's a trait that is hard to teach, right? Do they make that last call at the end of the day? For a salesperson, they make that last call because they're going to make a commission. If you're in logistics or supply chain, you're making that last call because you care.
So, if you're coming into the industry new, my first advice is demonstrate that you want to learn and that you want to do more than just what you've been trained to do.
Supply chain could be viewed as something, well, I'm sitting in this small office or a small cubicle. No, you got to get out. You got to experience it. Go work in a warehouse for a day, or go drive with a delivery person and see what that's like, right? It's a fundamental type of thing, but if you actually do it, it's great experience.
To self-reflect on what it is you actually want to do and understand why you want to do it. It shouldn't be about a fancy job title. It shouldn't be about how much money is going to get deposited in your account, at the end of the month. It is about the understanding the role, the challenges, the issues, and whether it's something you actually really want to do.
Regardless of what industry it is learn about the company that you're interested in, learn about the values that those companies live by, and try and demonstrate that you fit those values and those cultures if you're fortunate enough to get an opportunity to interview for a role for that company.
If it's not something that interests you and challenges you and that you find exciting, I think it's really hard to be good at something that doesn't stimulate you and really kind of challenge you every day.
Supply chain had always been considered sort of operations in the back room. No one sort of looked at it. Well, if you look at any successful company, they have a great supply chain. And now that is being recognized, and you see a supply chain officer or a COO is in the C-suite. All these great companies that you respect and look at and think about that are really successful, they're successful because they have great supply chains. So if you're looking for the place to go, get into supply chain.